Welcome to the Maggie Nicholson Show. We are so happy you tuned in tonight, and we thank you for tuning in from time to time. We thank our station for giving us this opportunity. We thank our guests for coming. We thank those on the camera and in the control room and everybody for being so nice. You know, we are past our year-and-a-half mark. And I'm thankful to God that He's blessed us to stay on the air this time. We thank you for continuing to watch. And we have a marvelous show for you tonight. You know, so many things are happening. And we have a retired policeman from another state. He lives here in Charlotte now, but he was a policeman in New York. And we just want him to tell us some things about it. And we want you to sit back and relax and take in all that he has to say, because all the information we get is never too much. And by the name of Mr. Williams, we are so glad that you're with us today.
Thank you.
And tell us all about yourself.
Okay, I'm a retired police sergeant from New York City Police Department. I moved down to Charlotte about a year ago, a little over a year ago, and this is my home now. So when I go back to New York, I'm there one day and I want to come back. You know, I love it down here.
Great.
Yeah. Basically, I was a police officer for over 21 years.
Oh.
And I went through the patrol period, then through as an instructor in the police academy, and then from there I went on to the narcotics division within the New York City Police Department. But 21 years on the job, it was enlightening.
Oh, I know.
New York City, it's very enlightening. I see some of the police officers down here, the way they work. You got some beautiful police officers down in Charlotte here.
Thank you.
I met a couple of them. And
Thank you.
they're very nice people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you say you were from Brooklyn?
Yeah, I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and I resided in Queens, New York for 24 years. Then I moved here.
Well, we are so happy to have you in Charlotte. So since I don't know anything about police work, and it's nice to know about another town, just tell us, maybe you'd like to tell us something about your family, or being a handsome young man like you are, maybe you'd like to tell the girls that you have a beautiful wife.
Yeah, my wife is right here. She's behind the camera, too, here.
Praise the Lord.
I have two boys. My oldest one is 31, and my youngest one is 24. They're still in New York.
Great. Well, Charlotte is blessed to have you people here, because you came here and you went right to work. You made yourself a part of Charlotte. And I think that's good. Some people, when they change towns, they go sit down. But you're not a person to sit down.
Well, I'm not working yet.
Yeah,
if you want to call working in my garden.
But you're taking a part.
Oh,
and
yes.
Yes. And I really appreciate that, those good tomatoes and cucumbers and all those things.
Thank you.
Oh, you're just beautiful. And now you can tell us something about the teaching academy or on the job.
Yes,
whatever.
I taught in the academy for about 5 years. I taught what we call police science. That's the things that the officers do on the street, the everyday affairs. I've taught social science, dealing with the behavior and everything. And my last year, I became assistant chairman of the social science department at that time. And, you know, we go from class to class and see what the instructors are doing and everything. But basically, the 5 years I taught, I learned a lot myself in the academy while teaching. And you come across a lot of the students that come through the academy, and you have to deal with their attitudes and their perceptions of what's going on the street.
Yeah, I understand.
So you have to try to turn those attitudes around and those perceptions, because some of them are truly negative.
Amen to that.
Right. But basically, after we finish with the whole, it's a 6-month program. And when I used to teach, after I finished with the 6-month program, I used to get him, talk to him in the room, man to man, not from supervisor to student, but from
man to man. That's great.
Yeah. And I used to tell him, I says, if you haven't changed your attitudes by now, just leave them in your locker for 8 hours. You know? You treat everyone the way you would want to be treated.
That's great.
So,
that's great.
That's what I tried it. And when I became a supervisor, I used to tell the instructors the same thing. I said, you go and you tell the students to treat everyone the way you would want to be treated.
Amen. Well, that's beautiful. Yes. That's beautiful, because you have to have the confidence of the people, and people have to have the confidence in you.
Right.
For the two to work good together.
True.
And it sounds beautiful. And this was from the academy standpoint. Well, did you ever do any street work?
Oh, yes. When I first came into the police department, you know, you go on patrol, you walk around. When I came through, it was a lot of foot posts, foot patrol. And you used to, you were in the community. You knew almost everyone. You knew the store owners, you know. So you walked around, and that's the way you did your job.
Well, you know, it's kind of dangerous now being a foot patrolman. The way things are, you don't know when you're going to get bumped off.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember when I first went to Virginia, and I got a job working from 11 to whatever, no, 3 to, anyway, 8 in the morning. And the first thing I did was went to the police headquarters and asked for someone to see me home. I was new and I didn't have nobody there. And they was 2 policemen would come out every night by the time I was to get off, and they would walk me home until I knew someone. And they told me, he said, the young man I see you talking with, said he's a very fine young man. He said, you can let him walk you home, and we'll be on the corner. And I noticed that one of the 2 will be on the corner all the way home. But this young man was a fine young man. I felt very comfortable with him walking me home.
Very good.
So I was always taught that police was your friend. And so I looked up to them for protection. Me being in a new town and not knowing anybody and going from work at night, I just felt very comfortable to have them too. And then when I had my business, it was the same thing. Yeah, they would, one night I was coming in kind of late myself, and the police saw me at the door, and he made me stop. I said, I'm going home. See, I had 3-room apartment in the back of my business, and he saw me meddling at that front door. He stopped me, and they look out for you.
He was just doing his job.
He was doing his job, and I really did appreciate it.
Right.
I did appreciate it. Okay, well, I didn't mean to cut in. You
that's
proceed.
okay.
What do you think about our unfortunate affair a few days ago?
With the police officer?
Yes.
That was, I don't know, it's just one of those things.
And you probably had the same thing in your home state where you were working, huh?
Yeah. After 5 deaths, after 5 deaths in the New York City Police Department when I first started, after the 5th one, I stopped counting, you know, because we have so many police officers killed in the line of duty in the 21 years that I've been on the job that, you know, after a while, you just don't count anymore. You go to the funerals, and that's it.
Well, one thing, it being such a big police department, you had more tragedy there than we have here.
Right, that's true.
unless ours department of city continue to grow like it's growing now,
Right.
we probably will have more in the future than we've been having.
Right.
Let me see now. You've been in our fair city a little over a year, and you like it. I really like to hear you say that, because I've been here over 20 years and I'm beginning to like it myself. What else would you like to tell us about?
I have a question for you. Someone told me that in New York you have 10, 11, 12-year-old hitmen. Is that true or false?
I've never ran across any 11, 12. I've heard of them, you know, through the news media like you. But as far as really running across hitmen, I've never ran across hitmen. Now I've run across 12, 13-year-old kids that sell narcotics, and they have guns on them. And I've arrested a lot of them, but that's about it. I don't know if they were hitmen or not.
Okay, the kids up there compared with kids down here, what do you think of them? How do you compare them?
Well, you know, I find that kids in all areas are mostly the same, and especially this day and age with television. So everyone knows what's going on. So that kid in New York, if he comes down here, he can relate to the kid here in Charlotte, really. It's the same. It's just New York is a big area, that's all.
Well, we certainly thank you for that question, because I wouldn't have thought of that. And is there another question you would like to ask the officer?
If someone wants to get into police work, what would you recommend them doing?
Well, I recommend today to start going to school. In other words, try to get a higher education, college background today. Today's day and age, most police departments, especially small police departments, want a college degree people. You're going to start from the bottom when you go into the police department. You're going to go through patrol like everyone else. And then from patrol, you can start trying to work your way into different parts of the department. You know, like when I first came in the police department, I was on patrol. And then within 5 years, I was in what they would call the anti-crime unit within an area where I was working. And I stayed in the anti-crime unit for about 5 years. You work in plain clothes and just ride around your particular district and look for crime.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I went into the police academy. And police academy, I stayed there for, like I said, stayed there for 5 years. And I taught, and then I became a supervisor of instructors.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got promoted to sergeant in the police academy. And then from there, I went on to the narcotics division. I stayed in the narcotics division for about 4 years. 4 years in the narcotic division, to me, is a long time.
No.
I believe that's one of the reasons why I retired after 21, because I was going to stay for 25, but after you deal with narcotics and people that's in the drug life, it's rough. And especially when you see 9, 10, 11-year-old kids either strung out on dope or they're selling, you know, it's rough.
Yeah. And
I
it,
have one other question. To be a police officer or a detective, what's the difference in the training and what's the difference in the prerequisites?
Well, in New York City, a police officer, well, you come right in the academy, go into patrol in uniform. And you may go to a specific area after you leave patrol, and then from there they can pick you up as a detective. They start you out as a detective in plain clothes. There are some times when there may be a time when you have you make a big arrest, especially if it has to deal with drugs. Say you make a big arrest. That way you can go into the detective division also. Yeah. But usually you have to go from one particular situation, from patrol to another particular situation, and then from there, they may pick you up in the detective squad.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It goes in steps. It's like
Right.
first, second, third grade. That's beautiful. We're certainly happy to have you to explain that to us. I imagine our policemen do practically the same thing here. I never asked them that question because I never thought of
Yeah,
it.
more than likely, most of the police departments work the same way. You may be on patrol, like I said. You may be on patrol, and you come across an arrest situation where your life really is in danger, and you take proper action, and you may become a detective that way. You know?
I imagine how hurt and sickening it was to see the young people strung out on drugs.
Oh, yes.
Because even here, and I noticed in the hospitals, they have those babies
Right.
just shaking and trembling that's being born to parents that are on drugs. Do you have any idea what we could do to help?
Now, the only thing you can do today is educate the people. You start in school, you start in kindergarten on up. That's the only way. I feel, it's my personal feeling, that this generation is lost. You know, you're gonna have to start from the babies and work your way up.
Kind of like the little girl that's being trained now.
Right.
And
you got to
pray
introduce
that
them.
she don't fall from it.
Right. You have to tell them what drugs will do for you, you know, and it's no good for you. You hear a lot of people saying that, never mind that drug pusher on the street, but why don't you get that higher up? See? But the problem that you have with the drug pusher on the street is that you see that drug pusher on the street.
And
See?
that's
So
the
you
one
don't see
going
the
to hit
higher
your
up.
child.
Right. And that's the one that most people see. So they want him arrested. So most police department train their men into getting that guy off the street. You know, and they let what they call the DEA or the federal government try to take care of the big man. You know, but as my old boss used to tell me on narcotics, he says, this narcotic stuff, this cocaine and heroin is just the tip of the iceberg. He says it's going to be hard to get rid of. So you do the best you can with the people you have.
Well, if it was some way that you could cut down on the price of it, maybe they wouldn't bring it in so much. You know, I said one time, I wish they would legalize it, but then so many people tells me I was wrong. I was thinking that would lower the price, and maybe by lowering the price, the big man wouldn't make as much money to bring it in.
Well, you know, you have pros and cons about legalizing drugs. I don't think that's going to do any good. You know, I go to, I don't know, do you have methadone clinics here in Charlotte? I don't know for sure if you have it. Well, you do. Because in New York, we had a lot of, you know, we went from the heroin, they take them off the heroin, they go into the methadone. Now we have methadone addicts. It's the same exact thing.
Same thing.
Same thing. They're addicts.
So I had to take back my saying because it's no proof that it would help.
Yeah.
There's no proof it would help. And it makes you, well, it's more people doing good than bad, but the few out there is ruining things.
Right.
And
Well, they're the ones they focus on.
Yes,
That's what
because if you train your child to do the right thing, and I don't care what mine does, then your child has to suffer
Right.
what my child don't do right.
That's true.
And it makes it appear that all the young people are bad, but they're not all bad.
No, they're not.
And one of these days, if your child don't be careful, he may fall in my child's trap.
That's true.
So it's just hard and pitiful. It's sad, and we're so helpless.
Yeah.
We're just so helpless. We don't know what to do. I sometimes think that, I don't know. I started to say, but I don't know what to think.
I know it's hard to. It's a heavy situation. I mean, dealing with drugs.
Very.
I mean, once you, especially the crack, which is really came home in around 1982 in New York, and it's all over the United States now. And once you get hooked on that stuff, forget it.
It's hard to get it out of your system.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes. I mean, cocaine is hard to get out, but the crack is, I don't know. You know, like I said before, I've seen the young kids, you know, 11, 12-year-old kids strung out on the crack. It took a toll on me, you know, because like I said before, I was going to stay in the police department for at least 25 years, but. You know, I went through the, like I said, I did my last 4 years were in the narcotics division, and that's all I did was narcotics, and you see a lot.
I have one more question. Do you think a person should be prosecuted, a female that's pregnant and she continues to use drug cocaine?
No, my personal feeling is that we should try to rehabilitate this young lady. Try to get her off the stuff. You know, what's the use of locking her up? You know, arresting her. I mean, you have to arrest her if she breaks the law, but I mean to prosecute. If she was selling it, you probably have to prosecute her and everything. But I think there's a new law. I heard something about a law about if the cocaine is in the baby's system, she automatically get arrested and prosecuted. My personal feelings is that she shouldn't be prosecuted. She should be sent to a rehabilitation center, hospital, and the baby also.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Because she's already using it.
See, I don't. What is prosecution going to do to this young lady? Because once she go back out again, she's going to go right back to that environment. I mean, that goes for the hospitalization also, but more so when she go to jail and come out, she's going right back. So what have you done? You took off the street for about 1 to 2 years. The baby's born. Of course, more than likely, you're going to take the baby away from her, but she's going back to that environment. She may be pregnant again.
And 9 chances out of 10, when you prosecute, it makes the person a bigger criminal sometimes.
Yeah, well, they learn a lot in jail, that's for sure.
Yeah, because, and it's sort of like the children in school. They make each other do things. If a child hurt a child or do something to them, they beat them up if they tell it. And I imagine the same thing is true if you're in jail. And the pictures you see, how they make each other do what they want them to do. Right. Or even kill them sometimes if they don't do it. So prosecution sometimes hurts the person, sometimes. But they need to be done something too, most times.
Yes.
Well, was there another question before we go further?
Any other questions?
I think that's about it. Except once more, a person is interested in his first step would be to go to where they become a police officer.
Yeah, well, more than likely, your first step is going to be the application period, and then after that, they're going to give you an exam, and for the most part, especially for the younger guys that want to become a police officer, you're going to get tested for drugs. You know, and that's the problem. One of the problems that we had in the police academy was that we tell the students that we're going to test them for drugs, and after 8 weeks, you believe that 10% of those students have drugs in their system.
Oh, gee.
What can you do to prepare yourself for the police department?
Well, basically, up in New York, they have classes that you go to prepare yourself for the exam. Now, to prepare yourself for the police department, it's just that you have to go by the rules and regulations of the police department, and abide by what they tell you to do. And that's about it. You know.
Well, Harvey, we're so glad you came. We have about 2.5 more minutes and to wind down, you might say. And so anything you would like to tell us that you haven't told us already, because it's just been a treat. We've learned so much. We've been able to think how our police work here and to hear how yours work there, and they both seem to be so similar.
The only thing I have to say is to the people out there is that you have to become involved when you're dealing with narcotics. The community has to become involved, and that's the way it is. And also you have to educate your children. And talking about narcotics. I used to take my son to the narcotic dens. I used to drive around and show him what was going on. You know, just show him. I says, you don't want to be like this. You know, and once you start that stuff, you forget it, man. Your life is no good anymore. That's the way I used to teach my kids. And like I said, you have to educate your children. You have to educate the adults also.
Oh, yes.
And the community have to become involved. If they have narcotics in the area where they live, they're going to have to call the police and tell them.
Yeah. So many people are afraid to tell. One thing about it, they know if the person finds out that you told, they'll get you.
Well, they have things. The police department will not divulge your name.
Yeah.
In other words, you call them and you just tell them that you have a drug location that you want to tell them about, and you don't have to give them their name unless you want to. Excuse me.
Sure. Oh, well, that's true too, but I'm probably the only person on the street that would probably tell on that person. Sometimes they can guess you out, you know.
Yeah.
And they do tell you, because I remember one time I had to call the police in another city I was living, and they say they don't mention. But the thing of it was, I said, now when I thought about myself, I said, now here I'm the only person that's got a phone in this block. They probably could guess who did the call. I didn't make the call. I'm so happy to have had you, and God bless you.